you guys got the rules with you there. So rule number 1 is to treat every gun as if it's loaded. So if somebody was going to hand this to you, one of your buddies, your friends or whatever, you know, what are you going to assume?
It's loaded.
It's loaded. Yeah, that's it. Until you check it out, test it. Yeah. So, and then number 2 is to keep pointed in the safe direction. Now, Doug probably covered it, but the brick wall here is our safe direction. So we have the fireplace on this side, and we got a full brick wall that covers the other side, and that's where we'll be pointing our guns today. Number 3 is index your trigger finger. So I'll use this one here. This one is the one I like to use for demos because it is a solid rubber gun. As you can see, there's no way to put bullets in it, no magazine. The slide doesn't operate, and there's no trigger. So this one's kind of safe to move around and twist around. This is the only one. All our other guns, we always keep them pointed in the safe direction. We talk about indexing. So ever since you were little and up till now, if you work with tools or anything else like that, your instinct is to grab with all your fingers. And that's just the way we've always been. So indexing, to not grab and stick our finger in the trigger is just not natural. Everybody, when they're first shooters, when they pick up a gun, the first thing you see is you see their finger in the trigger. And that. So that's one of the things. If you notice the second video where they did the dry fire and the live fire, every time Doreen got off target or finished shooting, you saw her finger go from the trigger back alongside, trigger back alongside. Every time she transitioned from shooting to looking for another target. So that's what we're going to try to get you to do today and learn to do, is to be sure and index. Rule number 4 is to be certain of your target and what's beyond it. Like we covered in the video on that, out here, it would go skipping on down the street and who knows where it would end up. You are responsible for any bullet that leaves your gun until it comes to a stop. So that's why you want to kind of do a quick check to make sure there's no kids playing out there or other people in front of you or something that could be in the way. Okay?
So Jeff, you put it that you're responsible for every round that leaves the gun. I like to think of it as there's a lawyer attached to every round that leaves the gun. I mean, think of it in that perspective, because if you do miss your intended target, just assume that somebody's going to get hit and killed, and you're going to get sued. On top of the fact that you deprived somebody else of their life that was not the threat.
So you have the gun, but is it still better to kind of work on de-escalation, trying to see what's going on, seeing if the guy's on drugs?
I was always trained, if you're going to show a gun, you better be able to use it. So, if someone's coming in, you better leave. I have a gun. I'm aimed at you, and warn them. But normally, if you show somebody a gun and they're coming to attack you, like, you don't ever just show it if you're not going to be able to shoot it.
Step 4, point the gun in a safe direction. Press the trigger until it releases. This confirms that the gun will not fire.
The top of a mag is built like that. So it's narrow in the backside to hold the rounds in place. As if not, once you push them in, they just go ping and pop up. So what you have to do is you take the round and you start right in the front of those little lips, and push it down and slide it to the back. Then we insert it in here, good slap, rack the slide, and now we're ready to shoot. Okay, so use both hands, pick up the gun, one hand on the sight, wrap your other hand around, be sure and index, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna reach around the side of the gun, and the first thing we're gonna do is release the magazine and take it out.
So somewhere on there, there's a button that you gotta push.
Push this one.
And make sure the gun is pointing in the safe direction while you're doing that.
Yeah. If you're having difficulty, don't turn to your neighbor. Keep pointing straight at the targets.
Keep the gun pointed at the wall and rotate your body.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and set our guns down. Pick up our round we ejected. And let's go ahead and load that into the gun. Push the other rounds in the magazine down. And then put the bullet in. You might find it easier.
Some point. No.
Doing something quick. There you go. And then with your thumb, with your other thumb.
Okay. Another finger.
Push it down with one thumb. This one. Sometimes you
At the back. At the back. There you go. Now press the button. There's a thing called
speed loader, which I use. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm strong enough.
your nails are beautiful. They're causing you a problem.
And so that resets your action. So that's what we use for dry fire. So either you can draw from the holster at home or whatever, but have your gun unloaded. And then like here, we start low, bring it up, boom. And what you do is you get used to your sight picture, you get used to holding your gun, you get used to getting on target, and you practice that. 15, 20 times or more. And then when you get to the range, all of a sudden you're dead center in the bullseye. Because your muscle memory is built up in that and you're ready to go. Yes.
So I noticed in the video, and I noticed you just now, they all had their left foot first in the stance. And for me, it's natural to do my right. Is there a right or wrong? Like, is your left supposed to be forward and your right back, or does that matter?
Yeah. For a right-handed shooter, what we do is we have your left foot forward and your right foot slightly back because you're shooting with your right hand, and so that you can rock back with the recoil of the pistol.
So I just got in a bad habit then. Okay.
Most of us do. Most right-handed.
Yeah.
So, basic shooting stance. Ready position. Put your eye on the target. Push the gun towards the target. Raise the gun into your line of sight. Align the sights on the target. Focus your eye on the front sight. Press the trigger slowly until it releases. Back to ready position. Now when I say go, on the go command, we're going to take one step to the left. We're going to bring our gun up to the target, number 6, and pull the trigger. Ready? Go. Ready? Go. Ready? Shooters, go. Get off the X. Step to the left. Boom. Okay. So once you get the 12 step down, when we do a basic 5-step holster draw. Now the first thing we do is go with the number 1. You want to put your hand, we'll talk about that first. You put your hand with the web of your hand as high up into the grip as you can there. And then when you draw your gun, but you want your hand, with your support hand, you have to put that on your chest. The reason we do that is to get it out of the way. Because a lot of times if you have somebody threatening you, you're going to go stop. And if you draw, your hand's in front of you. So what we do is we teach on the step 1, your support hand to your chest. So both hands move at the same time. 1, hand on the gun, hand on the chest. 2, draw. 3, we rotate. 4, we bring our hands together. The high ready. 5, you go up, boom. What we do with some of our live fire exercises is we have you, confront somebody, somebody's coming up, put your hand up, say back off, get away, and if they don't, 1, 2, 3, and you start shooting right here. Then you can go start here, boom, 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 and just bring it up and just keep shooting.
When we're talking about safeties, keep in mind, a safety is not there to keep you from doing something wrong or be careless. A safety is there to keep the gun from going off if, say, something gets snagged on the trigger or the gun drops. That's what safeties are for. They're not an excuse for poor discipline. I hear people say, well, I'm not comfortable carrying around in the chamber, so I want a gun with a safety and I won't have one in it. That's one more step you have to do when stuff's happening like that. Best option, become familiar with your gun, have a round in the chamber.
So like this one here has an external safety. So this one here, you're going to have to flip it on before you can start pulling the trigger.
So you should be practicing as you're pulling that out.
Pulling
flipping
that out,
safety
and
off.
if you carry it with a safety on or off, or your gun has an external safety, you should, when you do your dry fire practice, you should be practicing, putting the safety on and taking the safety off. Just so it just becomes second nature.
Oh, I think yours is upside down.
I'm sure.
There you go.
I guess we're good.
Thank you.
You're so efficient, Bob, everybody has.
Yeah, so the magazine count should be about the 9 o'clock position, the holster about the 3 o'clock position. Wherever it's comfortable for me, it's right around my waist.
Okay, we'll go through the steps. 1, 2, oops, go back to 1, go back to 1. Okay, 1, we put our hand on the chest, hand on the gun, both at the same time. Okay, ready? 1, 2, draw our gun. 3, rotate it forward. 4, bring our hands together. 5, extend out, shoot. Okay, back to 4.
Index?
Yeah. We indexing? Oh, yes. Good indexes. Okay, 3. 3, there we go.
3, you should
2.
still be pointing at the target at 3.
Fire, fire, shoot. Okay. Okay, back to 2. 1.
Okay.
I'm good. Okay. We'll go through the steps slowly the first time. Okay, 1, hand on the chest, hand on the gun. 2, draw. 3, rotate. 4, bring your hands together.
Rotate here for number 3, then 4 here, like that.
Okay, bring your other hand, support hand in there. Okay, point it out at number 6 and 5, pull the trigger.
All you're doing is lifting it up. 2, 3, you're turning. 4, you're
Okay,
bringing it together.
back to 4.
5,
Bring it to compress high ready. 3, hand goes back to our chest. Then holding it right here, rotate it out. 2, rotate it down. Don't be afraid to look if you need to. And then 1, click back in the holster. Okay? Now I'll just call out the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Oh, 3.
3, 2, 1. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna give the go command.
One more time.
Yep.
4, and then
3,
3, and
2.
then 2.
1.
Okay.
Going back to safety and holsters, aren't there some holsters being sold that do not protect the trigger?
Yeah, so some of them you'll see actually have a button right here. It's good for retention. You can't get the gun out unless you push the button on it. The problem with it is it requires you to use some manipulation, and then when you do that, your finger may go on the trigger. So I would start off by saying, first, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to have it for home defense and never carry? Because then you're trading off different things. If you want to carry it, well, now you're going to have to figure out, how am I going to carry it on my person? And maybe you want something a little bit smaller. If it's at home, you don't need to worry about how small it is to fit on your body. Get the biggest gun that you can.
I get 2, one for outside, one for inside.
There you go.
I like it. Yeah, and then after that, it's what fits your hand well, what can you shoot well. 9mm are great. It's a nice middle of the road. It's considered the basic minimum